Alrighty, stick a shackle on there, stop it blowing away, get rid of some of this sand, and I've made myself a bit of a map here. Here you go, legends. I'm currently in the southwest of Western Australia, tucked right down a little pocket that has two distinct names. And I guess if you're a local or if you've visited Western Australia at all, you'll simply know this area down here as down south. It does, however, go with another name, that being the Capes region or the Cape to Cape region. For good reason. To the north up here, we've got Cape Naturaliste. Then right the way down south, down here, we've got Cape Leeuwin. And the stretch of real estate that I'm talking about runs up and down this stretch of coast, which is famous for three distinct reasons. The first of all, of course, it's well known for its wineries. It's got some of the most famous wineries in all the world down through this stretch of real estate here. Secondly, got some of the best beaches, the most pristine ocean you will see anywhere in the world, and I'm not just saying that. And then thirdly, because of that, we're known down here for having some of the best surf in all of the world. But one thing we're not that well known for, and that is having four-wheel drive only access areas. Now look, if you're looking for super tough tracks, we've got those, but they're inland. You'll have to go that way, not this way. But if you're looking to see some of the most spectacular coastal scenery by four-wheel drive that can only be accessed either by foot, horse, or four-wheel drive, or if you're lucky enough, maybe a helicopter, then this has it in bucket loads. Now, I'm going to share with you maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 of my top spots, cape to cape, that can only be accessed by four-wheel drive. And if you're not blown away by these spots, check that you've got a pulse. For now though, grab yourself something cold, sit back, relax and enjoy AUSolo episode 4. And if I don't get this freaking March fly, I'm not even going to put that as a blooper, warts and all. Righto, let's get into this. For a nice day. Once these clouds blow over, pretty typical for this time of year. Now, we're going to start this trip in the Northern Capes section, Cape Naturaliste. It wouldn't be a trip to Cape Naturaliste without heading up probably the most iconic track in the Southwest Capes region, and that is, of course, the Three Bears track. Three Bears track is so named because it was opened up by surfers in the 60s, I believe, to get to a very isolated stretch of coast to surf a break they called back then Three Bears. And it was called Three Bears because there are 3 distinct, that was a tricky little bit right here, 3 distinct surf breaks out there. The smallest, of course, Baby Bear, the middle-sized break, well, that's Mama Bear, and then you got a bad boy right out the back. It's called Papa Bear. Three Bears. It's a fantastic little track. It's not hard. Just about any four-wheel drive will do it with a bit of clearance, but it does deliver you into some of the most spectacular landscapes on the Cape. And so it's fitting that we start with it right here. But before we continue up, I just want to call in here for a second. I'm going to take a quick detour. Little spot up here off the main track called Mount Duckworth. Mount Duckworth. Now, can't count the number of evenings I've spent up here with my dog and a sneaky beer. If you do come down this part of the world and you're going to drive Bears track, Three Bears track, do pop up here and have a look, but look after it. Don't do donuts like a bunch of dickheads have been doing up here. It's significant for a couple of reasons. It's a very high point on what is a pretty flat section of the Capes. To the south, you can see the little town of Yallingup. To the north, you can see all the way to Cape Naturaliste. That's where we're heading, roundabout, up this track up here. Right now, I'm just going to stop up here. Take 5 minutes. Mount Duckworth, it's a special place. Real specky part of the coast up here. Yelling up down here in front of me now, and you can see all the way back this way. Ocean, 270-degree views of ocean. Beautiful day out there today too, offshore. Should be going for a surf. All right, we're about to turn right and continue up Three Bears track. These tracks out here are all made up from a heap of limestone mixed in with the sand. Be pretty tough on your tyres. Try and pick a good line through it. It's also really bloody bumpy. Of course, that could just be shorty. Trying not to run over my camera. Get a load of this right here. This here, just pull up next to it. This right here is a banksha. Sometimes they get knocked off by the cockies. I'll see if I can find one, hang on. There we go. Oh, he's covered in ants, this bad boy. See, these things here, that's the banksha flower. I'm a little bit early on this one here, but he's been bitten off by the cockies. They love them, they come through and eat them by the dozen. When these flower, they get a really rich nectar on them. And of course, indigenous folks that lived in the Capes region, well, these were pretty highly sought after. And what you can do, if you get these when they're in flower, now we're a bit early on them yet, there's none in flower at the moment, but when they bloom out, they're dripping with nectar. Stick them in a hot cup of water, and you get yourself a really sweet sort of a tea out of it. It's actually really nice. Or you can just suck that nectar straight off there. Watch out for bees, because bees love them. I've been stung a couple of times. That's cool. We'll give him back to the... I'll put him up there for the next cockatoo to come along. It's the site we've been looking for. Bears Track, heading south to north, actually follows inland for quite a way, and you don't see the ocean once you get past Duckworth for quite a bit, and then she turns left and you're greeted with a big expanse of blue. And it's what I love about lots of these tracks down here, is just how exposed they can be, in the sense that it really does feel like you're driving along a cliff line. Speaking of which, I'll show you more of that moving on, but have a look at that water, will you? You've seen blue, and you've seen that colour blue. Oh, there's a big swell down there today too. Whew. Damn, this car is bouncy. Like I said, the Three Bears Track ain't a hard track. Bit of limestone, can be a little bit soft at certain times of the year, but you get just about any four-wheel drive down through here. It's not about that. It's about these spectacular views and untouched beaches, which, like I've said before, is what the Capes is all about. Alright, my plan from here is to track north, back out. I'm going to head back out to another section of coast just down from here that's a lot less known. Still gets crowded by the locals in the right time of year, summer's weekend, but I reckon today we're going to have the place to ourselves. If you get a chance though, folks, honestly, call in and check out Three Bears Track. Make sure, if you're in a Toyota, leave the bloody thing in gear when you park it. Well, if Three Bears could be said to be my front yard, where we're heading now would have to be my backyard. I reckon I spend at least a day a week out here, just like I do on the Three Bears Track, or at least Mount Duckworth. It's a really special part of the world, and unlike the Three Bears Track, it's not very well known, and as such, I'm not going to spoon feed you the directions. But I will give you a tip. To find the start of this track, you're going to need to drive past the wave that cannot be surfed. Have a think about it, you'll figure it out. This spot right here, however, oh my goodness, paradise. Absolute bloody paradise. And not a soul to be seen, but this is just another one of the viewpoints along the Capes. This is not actually where we're going. All right, spot number 2. Way less well known, but I reckon I rate it up there as one of my favourite spots on the entire Cape to Cape stretch. Look at that! Look at that, will you? Look at it! Whoa, watch the road. swell today. Holy shit. There's some big waves out there. Now, this is not a secret spot by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll just park up here and make sure I don't stuff it up. You don't want to stuff that up. It's not a secret spot by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets far less foot traffic, far less wheel traffic than other places cape to cape. A little bit harder to get to, and not as many people know about it. But this particular parking spot that I'm in right now, with views all the way down to the south and up to the north, I've spent many a happy hour out here, getting some abalone off the rocks down there, fishing the deep holes, surfing this break right out in front of me here, and then afterwards, a couple of cold beers. This stretch of coast is what I consider to be my backyard. I come out here a heck of a lot, and I reckon you can see, with good reason, just why. Bloody magnificent. Time as any, as always, to remind you all that AUSolo, which by the way I only came up with that name in episode 3, pretty new name. AUSolo is, as the name suggests, 100% solo. It's just me having a good honest crack at putting together what I think is my view so far of Western Australia, but as the name suggests, it's going to go right the way around Oz as things progress. So if the camera work is shaky, if the audio is bad, if the presenting sucks, if I start to get knackered toward the end of the day, you'll know why. AUSolo, it is what it is. Hope you enjoy it. Boy, you're a rattly old thing. Oh, dusty too. Don't have an aircon, so I've got my window down the whole time, and my passenger window, it doesn't go down. I've got to fix that. This is my only form of cooling, keeping this window down. So it gets a bit dusty at times. Now, you've probably been asking yourself, mate, you've got some spectacular coastline along here, and if you don't think that that is some of the most spectacular coastline you've ever seen, well, I don't know what, I can't offer you any more. That's as good as it gets in my book. But if you're thinking, hey mate, you've got some bloody spectacular coastline along here, but how about your famous beaches? What about these bloody beaches you say you can drive on all the time? Only get into camp, get a fire going, put up your swag, have a couple of cold beers. And tomorrow, I'll show you what a beach is. In fact, no, stop it. I'll show you what 2 beaches are. Just 2 of me local beaches. You'll have to wait until tomorrow. For now, let's get to camp. I got a powerful thirst. Ew! Well, I don't mind saying, I'm absolutely shattered. I think I've bit off more than I can chew today. It always is a stark reminder of just how long it takes me to do things solo, but that's all good. Got into camp just on last light. You'll notice I've got myself a little bit of a fire pit going, just because open fires are allowed at the moment, but I just don't want to take any chances, and that's why I'm using a fire pit. I think it's good practice. Now, this campsite, if you're wondering where it is, I'll give you a hint. Caves Road is just down there, and no, for the locals, this is not a run-up campsite. It's an absolute cracker. Figure it out for yourself. Not too many people know about this one. I ain't giving anything away. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to show you 2 of my favourite beaches in the Capes region, and the bit I'm the most excited about. Late tomorrow afternoon, I'd like to get out to a spot that has the single worst track in the southwest. I freaking hate this track. I've busted so many mirrors and scratched so many vehicles down this track, but I'm going to take you in there tomorrow, because at the end of it, literally, is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I'll leave that for tomorrow. For tonight, a couple of brewskis into me, There's old mate Kookaburra. A couple of brewskis into me tonight. You alright, mate? A couple of brewskis into me tonight, and I've got some pork chops on the old barbie here. Oh shit, I've forgotten to put my swag up, but I'll do that in a minute. It only takes me a couple of minutes. And I reckon, if these buggers shut up, I'm going to be in bed before I know it. Top day, southwest, cape to cape. God's country, it really is. I'm going to settle back, have a couple of beers, get some tea on, suck the guts out of life. Cheers. Yoo! Well, that's empty, so I'm going to have to get another one of those. Morning, legends. Gotta tell you, I had the weirdest Blair Witch kind of thing happen last night. Before I jumped in my swag, about 8 o'clock I suppose it was, a little bit before I jumped in my swag, put my awning away because I figured it wasn't going to rain, didn't need it, it might get wet with dew overnight, put it away. At 2:17 exactly, 2:17 AM, I just woke bolt upright, and it was a dead still, dead calm night, and I could just hear this bizarre roaring sound. I guess the best way to describe it, it sounded like an approaching swarm of bees, something like that. And then out of nowhere, a wind of the most intense ferocity tore through camp. My swag shook like crazy. The sound was incredible, and just like that it went away and it was dead calm again. Ugh. I don't know what that was. And I googled this morning when I got up, I googled weather events down here, and there was virtually no wind last night. No one's reported anything. I don't know what that was, and I don't want to think about it too much. I'll just chalk it down to another weird bush experience. Ugh. Gave me the shivers. Anyway, this morning we're heading into my go-to beach. Now, if you ever see me on social media say I'm heading down the beach for a surf, heading down the beach for a fish, 9 times out of 10, took the wrong track then, 9 times out of 10 I'll be heading down to this beach down here. She's an absolute cracker. It's nice and flat, hard. It's got good fishing, salmon fishing in the Easter time, crayfish down the far end. It's got a little surf spot on it. It's just a really pretty friendly little beach. I'm a big fan of it. So it's only a short drive in, I won't bother filming that. Hopefully by the time I get in, I don't think it will do, but by the time I get in I'd like to think this cloud cover would go, but I don't think it will. We'll see how we go. It's pretty typical this time of year to have cloud cover in the morning, but for now, let's head down here. Oh, where is this beach? I'm going to get you to do a bit of research. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is. How about this for a hint? You got to pick Joey's nose. If you pick Joey's nose, you'll find the beach. Let's get going. Just got to pull in here for a second. Just want to show you something. So I don't get bogged. Yeah. I want to show you this. It's a good example too. This is what I wanted to show you right here. This big tree here, this is a peppermint tree. And they're a pretty important bit of kit in the southwest of Western Australia. See, they're home to our endangered western ringtail possum. There's not many of them little critters left, and they nest in these trees. They're in flower at the moment, and they put on a real pretty show. They're all through this bushland, and they look really pretty at this time of year. And they've got a couple of uses. Probably the most basic use for them, I do it all the time, is you just pick a leaf off, fold him in half, that's what I do, and you just nibble him between your front teeth, and it just gives you a real refreshed sort of a mouthfeel. If you've just had a dirty burger and a cup of coffee or something, and you've got that burger mouth going on, you just nibble on one of these leaves, you'd be amazed. It's like you've just brushed your teeth. It's beautiful. Another real good use for these is grab a whole heap of leaves and scrunch them up, really scrunch them up hard, and then you breathe in that vapour, and it clears a stuffed nose. I've done it a couple of times when I've had a cold, and it works better than any of that crap you'll buy at the supermarket or the chemist. Just sniff it in, and the pepperminty vapours just clear your nose right out. Really good. Another one I've been told about, I've never done, is you get a whole heap of the leaves, you put them in water, crush them up, put them in water, and you boil them up for a long time, and then you sip that water, and apparently it'll get rid of any crook guts you got. It'll cure your guts right up. So it's a really important plant. This time of year, when it's putting on a show like this, covered in flowers, she looks real special. This one is covered in ants because of the pollen on it. I'm getting covered in ants. Peppy trees, you ever see one? Have a nibble, they're good stuff. Not too many beach backdrops like that one. Bit of weed on the beach today, not normally like this. That never fails to impress. Park up and have a bit of a look.
Tonight we're giving, tonight we're hoping, tonight we're living, tonight we're going strong, and together we go high. Tonight we're laughing, tonight we're loving, tonight we sparkle, tonight we dance along, and together we go high. I hope we break the tide.
Have a go at that, will you? 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 people. As you can see, this stretch of beach is actually only very short, probably about half a K, and it stops, ends up at the rocks down the end there that you can see. Back in the day, you used to be able to drive all the way around that point. For some reason, they blocked that track off. I don't really know why. It was a little bit how you going, getting up and over and around those rocks. I don't know, maybe that's why they blocked it off. Maybe people were getting bogged, who can tell. But the beauty of this beach and why I like it so much, well, look at the backdrop. I mean, it's absolutely sensational, but it's always pretty quiet except for the peak periods. So you can almost always have it to yourself or to share it with a couple of people up there. And it's always hard packed, so it's pretty easy to get down to and onto. You never really have to struggle to get onto this beach unless you've had a big winter storm come through, and then the waves can get right up against the shoreline here. But outside of those times, pretty easy to get down to. It's nice and quick to get onto. And do I need to give you another reason? It's got to be one of my favourite beaches. But if you really want to sink your teeth into a proper beach and really let the old girl go and see what she can do, well, you got to go to one of my favourite beaches in the world. We'll head there next. This right here is Bob's Track. Bob's Track leads down to Boranup Beach, otherwise known as Paradise as far as I'm concerned. One of the nicest beaches in Australia. It's the longest stretch of beach in the Capes region you can legally drive on. And on a summer's day, it is absolutely sensational. The fishing is awesome, the surfing is awesome. Just one piece of advice, it gets bloody soft, really soft. I've known of several vehicles that have been lost down there when the tide comes in. So, tide pressure is going to be everything, you know all that stuff. Boranup Beach, let's go and have a look, eh?
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go. I'm not heading for the stars, driving down this boulevard tonight. Yeah, playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go.
That's not bad. Now, if you're concerned about this weather, don't be, I'm not. This will blow over, trust me. From here, I've got a love-hate relationship with our final destination. I absolutely hate the track. It's bumpy, it's rocky, it's overgrown, it scratches the hell out of your vehicle. But the end result, well, you're just gonna have to wait and see, because I reckon it's out of this world. But for now, I'm gonna relax, sit back and eat my sandwich. You guys amuse yourselves. Man, that's good. No, really good. This is something I've been wanting to show you. I'm going to pull up here and check this out. I reckon this is super cool. It gets bigger every year. The size of that thing. Jeez. Good Lord. That's... I had to get out and show you this. I've got to come back this way in order for you to see it. Can you start to see what I'm talking about? Have a look at the size of that thing. That has got to be... How's that? Is it in frame yet? I don't know. That has got to be the biggest Xanthorrhea, black boy, grass tree, whatever you want to call it, that I have ever seen. She's growing straight up, proud and tall. Mates and I estimate that thing should be, or could be, up to about 500 years old. Have a look at the size of it. What I really dig is how the track diverts around it. The locals have obviously thought, whoever put Bob's track in, Bob himself probably thought, that thing right there is worth keeping. And I agree with him. Look at the size of it. Oh man. Not much has changed. Just pulled off onto probably what I would call my arch rival in the southwest. Man, I freaking hate this track. I think we've all got one of those tracks. Now, this is not a hard track in any way, shape or form, but it's super slow. It's just full of big limestone bundies everywhere, so all you can really do is be in first and just glunk, glunk, glunk over them the whole way in, and then, oh, there's a big lizard down here. Look at the size of you, you big bugger. What a ripper. That was cool. Little lizard, little goanna. Out getting a bit of sun. Winter's over. You can finally get out. Now, as I was saying, this track ain't overly hard. It's just super slow. And as you can see right now, so overgrown. I've knocked off one side mirror on my GU before. I cracked a windscreen out here once. It's going a bit too fast and hit a tree branch at just the right height. And I ordinarily wouldn't drive this track if it wasn't for one reason. And that is what lies at the end of it. Because, in my opinion, it's one of the most stunning parts. I know I keep saying this, but it is one of the most stunning parts of the Southwest Capes. And yet again, not very well known. So, I'm just going to suck this up, get in here, drive this track, and give you a look at, whoa, tuck this in, give you a look at one of the best parts of the Cape. And then, just as you're about to lose it, you see the end of the track, and that is revealed. A couple more rocks. Of course, there's always just a few more bloody rocks. Oh my, yep. And it takes my breath away every time I see that. Can't wait to show you. I gotta park up. Whew. That is truly spectacular. Now, I don't know how the audio is going to be. It is blowing an absolute bloody gale here. I just tried to put the drone in the air and it nearly went to Africa. I don't even know how I got it back. But as you can see behind me, this is one of the most spectacular cliff demonstrations I reckon you'll see just about anywhere. And that whole section through there is full of overhanging caves, big limestone domes. There's a walking track that goes right the way through it. Getting blown away here. I'm going to grab the camera. We'll leave Shorty up here for now. Grab the camera, we'll go in, I'll give you a look. How I got that drone back, I don't know. Whew. To get in, first we've got to get down here. And that is easier said than done. Catch you down the bottom. This is absolutely spectacular. This is a huge cave system, just huge, mammoth. And then the view from here, looking out over those rocks in the ocean, man, it's one of the most special spots in Australia, if you ask me. absolutely blows my mind every time I come up here. Look at the size of this, and this is just one. This cave system goes all that way. We'll keep going for a bit of a walk. Well, what a cracking few days, folks. I really hope you've enjoyed having a look at what essentially is my backyard. I guess all these spots we've been cape to cape are all within maybe half an hour, 45 minutes of my back door, and you can sort of see now why I find this place so bloody special. And I've really only shared with you about 20% of what's available in a four-wheel drive cape to cape. So if you ever find yourself this part of WA, get down here, pack yourself in something cold, sit right about here, crack that bad boy, and enjoy that view, because it is all yours and it's all free. Thanks so much. Episode 4 of AUSolo. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch you for number 5. Look at that. Just look at it. Not even puffing. Oh, my knees.
It was yesterday. We were the kids and we did okay. A shame we grow older.
I got a powerful thirst. Whoa, bad gear choice.
Timing feels alright and we get it all again.
That's it. Final shot.